Hey, how's everyone doing? Celso Garcia, also known as Old Man Labor. The beautiful part about the internet, everyone, the beautiful part about the internet is that even if you post stuff and you delete it, you already posted it. So it could still be tracked, it could still be found, and it could still be shown to the world. This is um, Donald Yates and Sean Battaglia admitting how they changed and ignore safety rules. Remember, they came out in the news accusing the MTA, Metropolitan Transportation Authority, of ignoring safety rules. This is them admitting that they also ignore safety rules.
Sean Battaglia, Division One, Manhattan Chairman.
So we are here checking in at Mother Clara Hale. So what I keep telling you guys is when we fight, we win. Management's pettiness and their petty behavior will not be tolerated. When we get the call, we will respond. And we responded this morning. You can't come into the locations and just tow our people's car and it's going to be okay. We're going to come in and we're going to make sure that rules are followed. If rules got to be followed for our people, then rules should be followed all the way around. And you know what that means? That means this crap and this garbage that you're putting on the road don't need to be on the road. That's the rules, right? That's the rules of 19A. That's the rules of safety. That's just the rules. So next time you think about doing some things, you come to the table the right fucking way. Sean.
Let me tell you something. We talk about this all the time: dignity and respect in the workplace.
Federal rules, right? You hear this? These are union reps talking this way.
So let me tell you something about work rules. Work rules go on both sides. They work on us, they work on them. But the thing about the rules are, there's always a code, there's always a respect, there's always dignity
You hear that, right?
that comes with that. If you're going to choose to enforce a work rule without giving us the respect or the dignity to clean something up or justify something, or case in point,
Clean something up or justify something. Clean it up? What do you mean clean it up?
move one of the members' cars before you actually go ahead and tow it, I have a problem with that. Because guess what? We know what the rule is. We know what the rule says. But when it's overlooked 99 times, that 100 times, if you're going to take an action, give us a call. Because when we overlook 99 pieces of garbage that come out of here, don't come and call us about the 100 time where we enforce the work rule. It
So they overlook 99% of the time that the buses are not fit for the road and you're sending them out still. As union reps, you have knowledge that they're not fit for the streets. The same thing you're accusing the MTA of doing. So that means you're an accomplice, you're part of this.
goes both ways. Dignity, respect. It goes hand in hand. You guys need to learn that.
Good morning.
So admitting
Good morning.
that you're involved in this is very damning and it should be looked into. Very damning, right? For a union rep to admit this on social media, right? For a union rep to admit this on social media that he's violating 19A law, federal law, is something that should be looked into, right? Definitely should be looked into. What do they know? What they don't? They don't. It's concerning, right? So before they come out on the news, right? Should I pull up the clip? You know what? Let me pull up the clip. Let me just pull up the clip, right? Let me be one of those guys, right?
The union says he doesn't because it's impossible, but it's there in black and white in what they say are falsified maintenance records. In depots across the city, surprise inspections by the transit union are turning up problems in the MTA's enormous fleet of buses, according to union president John Chiarello.
All types of issues, from cracked windshields to signal lights that may be out, headlights that may be out, issues inside the bus, you name it.
Why do you guys have to go in and do it?
Because at this point, we don't trust the transit authority.
He says buses are often hitting the streets with documented maintenance and safety issues, that some senior MTA managers are logging into the system and clearing out open work orders, falsely claiming that repairs were completed.
Nobody worked these hours. Nobody did these jobs.
Union bus maintenance directors Mike Wren and Tom Linane claim that repairs are often falsely attributed to employees who weren't even at work, and provided multiple work orders and maintenance records from the Kingsbridge Depot in the Bronx.
I have a work order here for 54 items done by a guy who is on his day off.
Correct. Wasn't even on the property. He's a really super mechanic. He could do it from home.
One worker was credited with taking more than 100 oil and fluid samples when he too was off. And another worker on a personal day credited for multiple repairs, including 2 with red line holds.
Anything involving tires, steering, brakes, that's all. That's a hold. That bus can't go out and service. It's not safe.
But if they clear it,
well, then apparently it didn't happen.
MTA.
So that contradicts everything Donald Yates and John Battaglia said, doesn't it? So who's doing it? And who's accomplices to this? Wow, this is serious. Is DOT, federal DOT regulations, motor carrier regulations.
Officials dismissed the allegations as bogus while downplaying safety concerns, claiming that every bus is inspected for serious maintenance issues. There's no surge in bus malfunctions, Communications Director Tim Minton told Eyewitness News. There is, however, a recent spike in bogus complaints from union officials, just in time for labor negotiations. But union officials say they raised these concerns more.
Doesn't it sound like it's both sides engaging in this activity? The MTA, Metropolitan Transportation Authority, New York City Bus, and the union. And so,
than 2 years ago, and that the practice is widespread and that nothing has changed.
It's at least 2 years
Widespread.
that Tom and I have been arguing, trying to put a stop to this. And it seems like it's only gotten more brazen.
City College professor emeritus Robert Passwell is a former president of the Chicago Transit Authority.
Somebody says this has to be fixed or that has to be fixed. You just can't say it was fixed if it wasn't fixed.
Union leaders say the MTA's bus depots are understaffed and that managers are trying to do more with less, or at least making it look that way.
They can't keep up with the work that's not being completed, so what they're doing is just making it go away.
talk to them. They're running more service than they ever did, and the riders are safer than they've ever been.
Obviously, that's not true. They may be running more service, but they're not doing it safely.
Well, this afternoon, MTA spokesman Tim Minton told me, quote, no bus enters service with a known safety issue, period. He does confirm that at least one MTA supervisor has essentially been suspended since we started asking questions for this story. Liz?
So blame one supervisor when the union
Here's what's coming up on
has been
Insides.
engaging in it. Right? The union just admitted Donald Yates, Sean Battaglia, said that they looked the other way, right? They just admitted that they looked the other way, right? On the video. So why is it one supervisor? Why is one supervisor being blamed for everything that's happening, right? Why is one supervisor being blamed? Let's look at it. Let's look. I'm looking for a particular clip. All right. Let's look. All right. I'll find it later. Right. So one of the charges that they bring Tremont Thompson up on is reporting bus safety issues, right? But he's a trained guy, right? So he wouldn't know that much about the bus issues, right? But um, Donald Yates would, right? Right? And so magically, all the videos disappeared, right? Magically, all the videos disappear from the person's website, right? Why? Because they know the things they posted, you could be brought up on charges for it, right? You're violating uh, negotiations, right? You're violating negotiations by doing, posting certain things, right? Right? You gotta, clean it up, right? Clean it up, um, right? Clean up the things that you post about members, right? Clean up the videos, right? Let's see. But the internet does not, uh, how can I say it? Does not forgive, right? The internet does not forget, right? It forgives, but it doesn't forget, right? Even if you delete stuff, there's always a way to pull it back up, right? You gotta pull this stuff up. The things that they do, uh, okay. a little insulting. Let's look at it a little bit more. This was a little insulting, right? Let's watch this video.
We're not sitting. We're not sitting across the table to give management anything that's going to hurt our members. We're not looking to bargain like that. We made that clear. We're making that clear across the table. We're making that clear by our rallies. And so like I said, the unfortunate part is you got people, and what we call them bad actors, that are out here trying to create somewhat of a divide. We all want a good contract at the end of the day. We all want a good contract. We want to protect many of the things that they have. Now the MTA bus piece. Now that's interesting because they got things that's they got a lot of things that is beneficial to them, but a lot of their members in MTA bus want what we have.
Wait up. Isn't this going into other departments? Right? Because you're a map store. You're not the vice president of MTA Bus of TWU, right? You're wading into another department and posting video about the other department during negotiations. This should be looked into, and possible charges can be brought about violating the bylaws and violating the Constitution of TWU.
But they don't want our work rules. So it becomes a work rule discussion as well. So, feel free to ask me any questions about what's going on, but I just want to give y'all like live updates on what's happening at the bargaining table, because you do got to talk to your membership a little bit. But like I previously said, we're not close. We're far away from an agreement. So again,
This is what I'm saying.
as a
It's far
bargaining
away,
organization, we're
living the good life, watching the TV, the office, just hanging out, right? Instead of fighting for members, admitting, bashing another division within the union, right? This is bizarre. This is crazy. This is what they are, right? This is what they do, right? This is what they do to each other. This is what they do to anyone that they don't like within any opposition, right? This is what they do, right? Why? Why they gotta do this, right? Right? So let's go. Some more good stuff, right? Whew. I love when people post stuff and break all types of rules. Uh, right? Break all types of rules. This is Donald Yates hosting his interview with with a reporter, right?
job in 1994 as a bus operator. I started my career out of the Bronx Division, the Gun Hill Bus Depot. I migrated to Kingsbridge Depot, and then I ended up.
I don't want to judge anyone, but does he inspire you as a union rep, right? Does he inspire you? Do you trust his leadership and trust the way he carries himself? Look at the background, the cubby, and he didn't even drive out of the Bronx that long. And look at this.
In the Manhattan Division in Manhattan.
And there were accusations in the chief leader that he had forged signatures and had all types of issues and problems during the election in 2015. And he was still allowed to run for office. He wasn't disqualified. He wasn't charged with forgery. They didn't send it in, right? I saw that was the chief leader. If you look his name up, you'll be able to read the article in the chief leader. And he was allowed to still run for vice president, even though he had forged signatures. I admitted that he had forged 90% of the signatures. I got permission from the people to sign their names for them. And apparently, but you know, those are old accusations. But I mean, a person that you can't trust, that's corrupt, you can't trust them. You think you could trust them now, 10 years later?
I got 32 years of service on the job, and I got about 22 years as an elected union officer.
Wow.
Wow, that's amazing. How many years would you say you've worked in the Bronx?
This is the interview.
I worked about, my first 3 years in the Bronx.
Okay, that's cool. And what routes did you typically do?
Well, one of the routes, I did the BX41. I drove the BX3, the BX7. The former BX55 doesn't exist anymore. And some other routes I don't quite remember. BX31, various Bronx routes I drove when I was driving up there. BX10.
Are you inspired yet?
Okay, cool. And just like for me to get a sense, like what does your typical day look like as a bus operator? Is that your title actually?
Yeah.
Bus operator?
I'm a bus operator.
Cool.
That's the media. That's what, the interview. This inspires you as a bus operator. Does this inspire you? As a person of the public, a writing public, does this inspire you? Let's listen in more what he has to say.
We basically our day is that we report for duty. And part of the reporting process is to pre-trip the buses under Article 19A of New York State law. And we basically look around the bus for defects that we can visually see, and report them on a card called a vehicle defect card, or it's called a OVCR card to be exact. And we have a brake test. We have a leakage test. Test the headlights, test the window wipers, things like that. Walk around the bus and make sure that.
So, do drivers do this in 10 minutes? In 10 minutes that they're giving, are they able to do all these tests? Be honest, Donald Wilkes, be honest. Are they allowed to do this? Are drivers allowed to comply with the federal law and the state law? Be honest, Donald Yates. Don't lie.
It's safe for service.
Okay. And do bus operators, first of all, is bus operator different than a bus driver, or is that just the official title of a bus driver for the MTA?
That's the official title for a bus driver for the MTA. Because we do,
great.
Basically, we do more than drive the bus. So we operate, and we assist customers. We take fare, maybe not physically, but we do. We do.
It makes us look so like the job is nothing, right? So professional, right, of him, right?
We do more than just drive the bus. We deal with
Does this
ADA
inspire?
customers and a whole bunch of other things that we deal with.
Of course, yeah. I just wanted to make sure I got that right. I feel like we just casually refer to bus operators as drivers, but I just want to make sure it was the same thing, but knowing the additional, work that you guys do. And as an operator, do you have a say in what bus routes you get to choose? Like, if you're at one depot, can you say I don't want to drive this? Can the other person drive this?
Well,
how much of a say do you guys have?
How it generally works is we have a seniority system, and we basically pick our poison, pick our routes. We pick our routes, we pick our hours, we pick our days off, our RDOs, we call them regular days off. We pick our vacation. Everything is about seniority on this job with the MTA.
Okay, and can you tell me what you mean by seniority? Like, the higher up, you mean you have more of a say versus like a junior level, or someone who just started on the job has less of a say?
That's exactly what it is. Seniority is time on job. It's time. It's time on the job. So
okay, cool. So yeah, you said that you worked in the Bronx for about 3 years. Is that in the 90s? Was it in the 90s?
Yeah, I started on 1994.
Okay, wow. So a lot of things have changed since then. What was your experience like doing, the bus routes in the Bronx?
Well, my experience is, you had a lot of.
So he only drove a bus for 3 years before he became a union rep and never went back to being a bus operator, right? Doesn't like the job, wants to do the office work, wants to do things behind the scenes, and has gotten complacent and allowed a lot of people to be thrown under the bus, literally.
Factors of assaults and things like that.
So,
I think what's changed over time.
so you're aware of the assault and haven't done anything about it, or pushed for something to be fixed or negotiated for assaults to be taken out of the system, right? What have you done for that?
Time is it's probably a lot harder to operate on the city streets now because you have the bicyclists, you have the scooters, you have the mopeds, the skateboarders, everything we're sharing the road. All of these obstacles we're sharing the road with. So their job becomes a lot more harder because they have to see and prevent a lot of accidents. Our job is to prevent accidents, and I often call it saving lives because we're out there saving lives. Because there's a lot of people who walk out there. They're on their cell phones. They're not looking. They just walk right into the street. So our job is to make sure that nobody gets hurt. We're looking at all of that while we're operating the bus.
Mm-hmm. So you would say that when you started, that the biggest risk for bus operators were assaults by other passengers, but now you think it's more of like pedestrian safety. Would you say that?
It's pedestrian safety, and of course, because the way the city is now, we have like more people who are angry for whatever reason, and they take it out on the bus operator.
Mm-hmm.
They take it
And
out
they
on the
know
bus
that.
operator, no matter what the situation is.
So what are you doing to fix it? That's the question. What are you doing to fix it? You're aware of it and you're just allowing it to continue and fester. Where in the contract have you negotiated or allowed anything to happen? That's what I want people to realize. That it's the same people over and over in this union, over and over, holding the positions, not doing what they're supposed to do for members.
The bus operator has to follow a set of rules and policies that's issued out by the MTA, and the general public is not aware of these rules, and they get quite angry, and oftentimes they get into disputes with our operators, up to and including assaulting them.
Mm-hmm. Right. And, you mentioned that a lot of people are angry now. I feel like this is something we're seeing more visibly since COVID. Like, how would you say this has affected staffing, for example, for operators? Are there less operators? Do people not want to do certain routes because of, their own safety?
Oh, without a doubt. There's people who may get assaulted, and they don't want to do the route no more. Sometimes we have to transfer them out the borough, or transfer them to another route in order to and impact, and it does impact the seniority. So yeah, we have these mechanisms that's going on, and it's more often than you would believe.
So he's saying he violates seniority?
Right. Something.
He said he violates seniority, or I don't know. Am I interpreting it correctly?
When I was growing up, I had a lot of MTA employees, like in my community, in my family, and this was like a job you could do for like 50 years. And I feel like, I'm just kind of wondering, like, what is retention like now for bus operators?
This is classic, right? How is retention like for bus operators? How long do bus operators stay on the job? How long? If they're always begging for them and they don't even last a very long time on the job. Turnover is extremely high for this position. Um, they don't last long. MTA loves firing people, hiring people, firing people. They have a disciplining machine that's out of control, and this is his answer.
Um, you repeat that question to me. I didn't quite get it.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's negotiating our contract. This is the man negotiating our contract, handling our arbitrations, handling our discipline, handling our contract negotiations. And an easy question, you can't handle it, right? So it makes you wonder. Makes you wonder.
No, I just let me rephrase this. Like, would you say that there are
Dumb it down, dumb it
like
down.
people that bus operators are staying on the job? Actually, no, let me rephrase that better. What I'm trying to get at is, what is staffing like right now for bus operators? Are people staying on? Are people saying, I've had enough of this, I'm quitting? Do people want to be bus operators anymore?
Well, I would like to say that our younger generation, they have the mindset that they're not taking this, and they will leave for another job because they don't feel like they have to be a punching bag. So we're always hiring now, and it's some of it is people leaving, some of it is people leaving through attrition, and it's every week, every 2 weeks, I see that there's a class that come in for the title of bus operator.
And what are you doing as a union to make sure that people stay, to make the job a better job? To you just watching them come in, come in, and you haven't done anything to step in the 22 years that you are a union representative?
You're observing that there are more people that are being hired, but you can't say anything specifically about like whether they're leaving or not, right?
Well, no, I can't say nothing specific, but the job is not as attractive as it used to be. I mean, we have an inferior pension system, and that's affected the whole New York State, New York City area, which is why there's a big pension fight back.
Just say that there's a lot of firing, a lot of discipline. You refuse to criticize the MTA. This is the fire that a union rep is supposed to have. This is the fire. What fire is that? Come on.
For reform.
It is my first time watching the interview. I only saw a little the beginning before, and this is infuriating, right? No heart, no fight in their heart.
On the pension issue, because the whole idea is to retain people, to make this place a comfortable career, and they're making it very difficult. When I say they,
and it's only the pension. That's all people need, right? They don't need a cost of living increase, what they call COLA. They don't need good health care. They don't need to be taken care of to improve the job. You just say the pension is the pension. That's why people don't stay. You don't want to acknowledge the discipline system. You don't want to acknowledge how bad the job has become because of heavy-handed management and you not pushing back, right? You sitting back, just relaxing and just getting eaten alive by management.
Talking about like our governmental people who make decisions on pension and legislation issues. So it's not, it's just more than just like dealing with people. I mean, we can deal with people, but you got to also make it worth the members. You got to make it worth their while to want to stay and deal with such a situation. And you know, I believe, and I'm pretty sure that you'll talk to anybody who's in our union or a member of our union that will tell you the same thing, that for the work that we do, us being essential workers, when they deem us essential workers, and then a punching bag, we're a punching bag to management as well at times,
Now
and
you
then we get
mention
it from both ends.
it. Now you get it
Mm-hmm.
at times. At times, get into details about how management treats the workers. That's your job, right? To push back against management, right?
Absolutely. Um,
But you don't want to anger management. Oh no, they might get angry at me. And they might get angry at me.
Yeah, and another reason why I asked that is because, sometimes when I'm waiting for the bus on the bus app, it'll say, we're running with as many operators as we can. It's sort of like blaming it on the operators, not, on other factors. Yeah, what would you say about that? Because
Lies. That's what I'll say.
okay.
They are the MTA is lying.
Mm-hmm.
They are lying on us. What happens is that, and it goes into a more deeper and sinister thing that they're doing. Um, they're not repairing the buses. And then it's a staffing issue with our maintainers. Our maintainers in Manhattan and Bronx and Brooklyn.
And call them out like you did before, that you weren't gonna let the garbage go out, right?
Division. They're not hiring the staffing levels that's needed to deal and work on these buses to keep them safe for the public. And then not only that, they have to buy buses, and some buses are not making it into service because of issues that they're just not fixing. So they may not have enough buses. They borrow buses from other locations, and what they do is they'll sit the bus operators down in the swing room, send out half the service, fudge numbers, and say that the service went out 90% or so. And it's not the bus operators that's available. It's the equipment that's available to be operated by the bus operator, because the bus operators are available.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, yeah. And would you say that there's like a clear difference in terms of investment, for equipment and things like that when it comes to the subways versus the buses? Do you think they put more towards, having the subways run more efficiently than the buses?
Well, I'll just say that the bus department is the smaller department compared to the trains. And
Mm-hmm.
the trains is like, this, anything subway, anything that's this.
Really? Look at the numbers. I don't think that's true. Look at the numbers of how many employees work for buses, how many employees work for trains. You might be a little bit confused there with your numbers, brother, buddy. Look it up.
Considered part of the system, and we're considered surface transit. And they do focus more on making sure that the infrastructure and things like that is done to the utmost in the subway system. But I cannot quite give you a number. I mean, maybe you can get that information from our president of the union, who will have more information, or even maybe some of the vice presidents that deal with the subway system.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, like, you kind of like brought this up a little bit, but like when you bring this up to like executive leadership with the MTA, like, that they're, sort of throwing you guys under the bus, no pun intended. Like what is their response to that?
They claim that it's not them, it's an automated message, and that they'll deal with the message. And then time and time again, we look on X, formerly known as Twitter, and that same message appears that the service is not running, or a bus may not running on the bus operators we have available, because of the bus operators we have available. And oftentimes that is a direct contribution to the customer's anger and frustration, and they take it out on us, the bus operator. And they themselves are actually helping in getting us assaulted.
Right.
That's all you gotta say. That's all you gotta say, brother. You could say a lot more, be a lot more eloquent. Come on, really? Is that the only reason why we're assaulted? Is that where's the protections that you could give us? And, if you know this, why are you not negotiating something better?
And, I was talking to some like transit advocates and asking them the same question of like, what do you think, the issues are with Bronx service? And a lot of them, sort of point to traffic. Like, that's one of the reasons that's like one of the biggest reasons what affects service in the Bronx, at least east to west. Like, was that your experience, at least in the 90s? Like, was traffic like the biggest like deterrent for you, or from your other operators that currently serve, the Bronx routes?
I mean, absolutely not. No. That's
what?
I'm on the inside. I can tell you what it is. This, everything is about running things.
Yeah, it's a lot of heavy traffic, and that causes delay for the bus operator, and that causes people to get frustrated, and that causes people wanting to get there faster, and that causes the traffic has gotten a lot more out of control. So why wouldn't he say that? Let's see what his answer is going to be.
As a business, it's not running service to service customers. So they're right now they've took a lot. They have taken a lot of the dispatchers off the road. Um, they're the one that control and direct the headway of the buses. So even if buses were running late, you have the ability to impact the headway with a human being out there telling a bus operator what to do. And I'm talking about our supervisors. And right now they want to take them off the road and deal with these.
So he's defending the supervisors instead of defending the bus operators, right? Okay, we need more supervision. We need more supervisors on the ground supervising the buses, right? Oh God, Jesus, this is crazy.
GPS systems or their tablet systems from a whole nother borough. So you got people now, they took about 25 to 27 posts off the routes, and they're dealing with headways and things through
It
the
is a
bus
problem.
command center in East New York, Brooklyn. So we have maybe an East New York dispatcher from Brooklyn at the command center giving us instructions, and as if they even answer the radio.
And
And
can
they
you just
break the
remind me
law.
what the East New York dispatcher?
Where's your complaints and the paperwork and trail of you saying this, right? That they don't answer the radio, that the operators have a problem. What have you done about this? What have you done about all these issues? Where's your
is do like what the communications are between you guys, and what's the difference between the depot, the supervisor at the depot?
So the supervisor in the depot, like you got the crew dispatcher, just deals with everything that's considered the crew. Report they report, they receive reporting employees to work. They take sick calls. They if there's people that's down, they deal with our extra list to fill runs that might be empty, and have operators cover runs. So basically, that's the crew dispatcher's job. Then we have a general dispatcher that deals with mostly payroll issues, and the ones that's in East New York, they're dealing with the command center. So they're dealing with everything that's related to the radio system, to the GPS system, what they call bus track system. They're dealing with that in East New York in real time.
Oh wow!
So,
and how do you think that distance affect, say you're in the Bronx and you have someone from East New York telling you where to ride and having your communications, does a lot of things get lost?
Yes,
because it's coming from over there.
It's already it's not only has it caused a safety problem for some of our operators. I had an operator telling us today that she had somebody on her bus who was threatening her with a knife, and they took that particular dispatcher where it happened at off the post. She had to call the command center. They couldn't get no help from the command center, and she had 5 other bus operators come to her assistance to make sure that she was safe. So it created a safety hazard, especially, not only for all our bus operators, but for our female bus operators as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so scary. I'm so sorry for her.
So what's your solution? What is your solution? I'm gonna keep asking the same question. What are your solutions? What have you done to fix these problems other than just complain about the problems?
Yeah, this was really helpful. Thank you so much for this. Is information that I would have never honestly known just based off of my research, and I think is so important. Is there anybody else that you think I should talk to? They don't have to be, a member of the union. Well, they could be a member of the union, but anyone who currently rides the Bronx bus routes that could also just kind of give me their perspective on what it's like, driving these routes.
Yeah, I could actually give you somebody. I can text you their number. I would like to first talk with them and see if they will be okay talking. And then if they're okay, I will text you their name and their number, and they can give you their perspective on as real time. And I'm talking about a bus operator. And for the record, what is your name again?
My name is Marina Samuel. I can text it to you as well.
And you work for who?
The Bronx Times.
Bronx Times, that's right. Ellen told me you was gonna. Ellen kind of hooked it up for me and you to talk.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, she put us in contact. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you think is important to know for a piece like this?
Well, I think I would like to focus on the fact that there's a lot of buses. There's a lot of buses that's not making it to the road because of maintenance issues, not hiring maintainers. They're very short on headcounts when it comes to the job of maintainer. There's a whole bunch of problems down in the maintenance department as to why they're not hiring the bus operator. Scratch that. Hiring our map store maintainers and our TA surface maintainers for that matter. They're overworked, and then they try to come down and discipline the people as well. They're working doubles and triples, and what they should be doing is hiring the manpower to work on the equipment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And is there anybody else that you think I could talk to that, could speak a little bit more to that about,
absolutely.
And different account than the other 2 videos I showed you, right? Totally different stories. So what's the story? Donald Yates, clean it up.
Absolutely. I'll also see if they're all right talking to you, and then I'll put them. I'll send you their numbers and put you in touch with them.
Oh my God, great. Thank you so much, Donald. This was so, so helpful.
You're quite welcome. You have a wonderful day.
And that's the problem that we have in the union. People that have been there for too long, incompetent, don't understand the process, just do things however they want, right? Just do things however they want. And that's the issue that we're always going to have, right? That's the problem we're always going to have. I'm going to keep this video a little shorter. I don't want to go on too long because I want people to read it, suck it in, um, understand what we're dealing with, and I really want you to understand what we're dealing with, right? This is the people we're dealing with in the union, and that's why it has gone down road. That's why it has um, deteriorated and has gone downhill, right? See this? You're either in the club or you're not in the club, right?
First thing you
You
gotta
either
do is flip it over.
And what do?
Right over here, number one, vote no.
Vote no.
This is what they
Save
do,
your pension.
And your lives.
right? These are the people that just don't care about the members. And so they claim that they are doing everything possible for the members, but they just worried about their gravy train, right? They're just worried about making themselves money and being successful themselves and being and having cushy jobs, right? That's all they're worried about, having a cushy job, getting six figures, not doing much, not fighting for the members. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate every single one of you for joining me. May peace be with you. I'll see you soon. Have a good night.